welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this video, we will be discussing a current affair topic presented to you by your faculty, Sushma KP. So, what is the topic that we will be looking into today? How does satellite internet work? In this, we will be discussing about what is satellite internet, what is the dual use nature. We will also see some of the real life examples of your satellite internet. We will also see your LEO mega constellations, we will see its applications, we will see what are the challenges and how it is seen from India's perspective, and we will also be at the end seeing a possible mains question from this topic, right. Now, when I mention, let's say, satellite internet, before that let's come to very basic. In present scenario, let's say 21st century, internet is a very important form, alright. It is as important as running our daily lives. Without internet would create ripples to waves to tsunamis. Meaning, what do I mean by the statement? In the course of the video we will be seeing. Now, look at this. Internet is the new backbone of governance, economy, health, education. It is applied in dual use technology, that is for civilian purpose as well as your military purposes. Another thing, if you see what is the ground reality of internet in India, is India's internet connectivity completely in total. That is it completely having internet connectivity? No, we do not have. For example, Government of India launched a scheme called BharatNet program for rural India connectivity. And also your internet is a little bit of a costly affair in rural areas than in your densely populated urban populations. Why? Because internet relies on your physical installations. Understanding? So this physical installations, okay, might work out in an urban area which is very densely populated. But what about your rural area which is sparsely populated, which means there again the prices will increase. Yes or no? And another thing is, because I told you your internet is dependent on physical equipments, so these are prone to disasters. That is, whenever natural calamity hits, these things are all affected. Yes or no? Which means at that point of time we are cut off. Now some area has been affected by natural calamity, which is where we need coordinated efforts, and that is when internet is not working, right. So it is a dual burden on us. And another thing is, it is inadequate, not enough, because one of the most populous country, and also we have differentiation, and also we have difficult terrain and different terrain. Now when I say difficult terrain or different terrain, we can Siachen glacier. Understanding? It is one of the coldest and most difficult ground. Now, why exactly? Now, all these issues that we saw with respect to ground internet. Understanding? So, here we spoke about ground internet. We saw the challenges. Now, as the most potential solution that can be offered to us comes from your satellite internet. Why? First and foremost, it is even in sparse areas you can easily do. And another issue with ground internet is it cannot be used on the go. That is movement, physical movement, leaving some place and going. So these things, especially if you are in a vehicle, aircraft, so all of this becomes difficult in the ground internet. Whereas it is very easier in your satellite internet. And also, it is terrain independent, irrespective of which terrain you are, whether you are sparsely populated, whether you are densely populated, that doesn't matter. Understanding? And also, you can very much rapidly deploy these things. You do not have to take as much time as you take for your ground internet. And also, if we have been using this well and integrating into the platforms, so we can bring it into aircraft, ships, oil rig, glaciers. That is the difficult terrain. See now, for example, when I tell oil rigs, they are very remote. Glaciers, again, they are also very difficult. Now, one example I told is your Siachen glacier. So, in these kind of conditions, your satellite internet offers more advantage to us rather than your ground internet. Few examples if we see, during your Hurricane Harvey, During your Hurricane Harvey, 90% of the internet communications from the ground level was cut off. But they were able to do last moment or rescue operations during your VIA-SAT. Understanding? And also in your Ukraine war. As of now, if you see in your Russia-Ukraine war, Ukraine has heavily used Starlink for its deployment near the borders. And so many times it has fitted the Starlink under the, let's say, your drones and fly over your Russian zones where they have your understanding. So, majority of in the warfare areas, especially in Russia, Ukraine is heavily relying on the Starlink satellite internet for ground level realities, because at this point of time in this region you cannot rely on physical infrastructure. Understanding? So, during the war period of time, this has proven for your drone operations, evacuations, troop coordination. It has been very useful. Then India has also used it in your Siachen glacier with respect to connectivity in extreme conditions. Now, if you see, we said this particular satellite internet offers dual technology, one for civilian purposes, civilian purpose meaning disaster relief, healthcare, agriculture, remote education. For example, we have SWAYAM portals, right? Open distance online learning. For all of those, internet is a very mandated thing. Militarily, you can use in navigation, warfare, drone warfare, understanding, and also in communication during your conflict zones. But it also poses a major security conflict, like as India has witnessed. In many regions, our police forces have retrieved a lot of these Starlink seized or smuggled Starlink devices from your insurgent groups. Understanding? So, this poses considerable security risks. And now, anyone who owns this satellite power, it is seen as a national power now to own this satellite internet. Understanding? So, how exactly does this satellite internet work? First and foremost, understand this. Two things. Two things is, first there is satellites, and then we need ground level equipments for them to communicate with each other. Alright. Now what happens, now different 3 layers of satellites are also brought in. First level, second level, third level. Okay. So as to they will cover different aspects of the area, we will discuss that in the next slide. So here we need ground level equipment to communicate with the satellites. Right. As an advancement, we have also seen that in here we have created satellites itself can communicate with each other. Understanding? So, this satellite internet is not just for satellite and ground level equipment, but among themselves also. So, satellite internet is truly satellite internet even in space. Understanding? So, in ground segment we use gateways and your terminals, user terminals. These satellites and this structure will work for somewhere from 5 to 20 years. Now, how does it work exactly? I told you there are 3 satellites. First is your LEO, understanding, look at this. Next is your MEO, next is your GEO. LEO means low Earth orbit, MEO is medium Earth orbit, and GEO is geostationary satellites. Alright. Your geostationary satellites appear, the name is because stationary, it appears as if it is moving on the same pace with the Earth. Understanding? No much changes will take place. It will look like it's as if just stable, ideal, it's just there. Now, one geostationary satellite will be able to cover at least 1/3 of the Earth. I mean, not the polar areas, but the others. But one issue if you see, that is the latency. Because it covers wide area, understanding, a geo covers wide area, and this, okay, this is ground level. Then if it has to pass the information from here to this stage, the possibility of delays, loss of information is higher. Then comes your MEO. MEO will cover smaller area compared to your GEO, but it will reduce the latency, which means the loss of data will be here less. Then comes LEO. LEO is very small areas it will cover. Which means as much as to a level of your, let's say, cities, India if you are going to speak. So this covers very small area and also it will give very less error rate. All these three combined which will give us wider data, wider coverage, less latency or less prone to your information being lost. Understanding, especially if you are doing your video conferencing, real time, right? So in these kind of scenarios, this is the best option. But one issue with your LEO is, because it covers smaller area, it needs large number of satellites. Starlink as of now has 7,000 satellites and it wants to increase it to, it has plans to increase it to around 42,000 satellites. Understanding? So this is with regard to how the satellites are positioned and how it works. So your LEO mega constellation is thousands of smaller satellites, understanding, and above that is your MEO and above that is your GEO. What are the features that we can expect from this? On-board processing, better efficiency, and also this is a true version of internet in the sky where the satellites can communicate with each other. Understanding? So this gives seamless handovers, which means if I am moving from one zone to another, let's say LEO is targeting me in this particular area. If I am moving, then automatically satellites will pass it on. So that is what we call as seamless, okay, handovers, and it can maintain connectivity up until your 27,000 kilometers, and this will also be, if integrated well, it can be directly bought into your smartphones in the future. What are the civil applications that we can see in this particular topic is with respect to rural broadband, healthcare, education, understanding, and also smart infrastructure, agriculture, environment, and also there has been plans to bring, Elon Musk has told about your Starlink to be introduced in India. This would be a game changer in many of these sectors. With respect to civilian ambits and also with respect to military, it can be looking after your disaster management and also your military applications. Right? So what are the challenges? Like we discussed, first thing is your security. Because of its dual nature and insurgents can misuse it. At the same point of time, it increases your espionage risks, and economically it will be around $500 to monthly, somewhere around $50, and this is costlier with respect to terrestrial broadband. And also one of the main issues, if you see, there is no such thing called as a regulated space law. There would also be issues with respect to orbital slot race where each member country would keep on fighting. This would lead to huge amount of collision potential, space debris, because as of now there is no one proper international law to bring in all these into one ambit. So what should be India's perspective? First and foremost, this would integrate, and all the data with respect to satellite internet can be used by army, military, navy, air force, and also in your civilian perspective we can use it for developmental activities such as your education, healthcare, and also we need to bring good amount of policies, let's say integrated policies with respect to all of this, a holistic policy with respect to integration into Digital India, National Broadband Mission, and also comply with your global rules, and this would also help us in strengthening disaster management, NDMA Act. So in conclusion, what can India do? Strategic infrastructure, it is not just about connectivity but to be considered as a national security asset, but at the same point of time we have multiple benefits and disadvantages of challenges where it poses a concern to our security. So India's path should be a balanced approach, that is it has to look into both, it cannot reject any one of the aspects. Understanding that is we cannot steer away or stay away from satellite internet whether we want it or not, but that is the new power. Understanding, when we say new power in the digital century, control over the sky is as important as control over land and sea. Understanding? Now let's see a possible mains question from this topic. Satellite internet has emerged as both an opportunity and security challenge. Discuss this in the context of India. You can take the case study of Siachen Glacier. Understanding? And you can target this question from your opportunities with respect to civilian opportunities, military opportunities, the challenges, security concerns, and you can also speak about how India's approach has to be. Right, so this is it for the mains question. With this, we come to the end of the content. If you like our topic, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button and share it along with your friends. Thank you.